Hello and welcome to my studio. I'm Naomi. Yellow lemon, red lemon, yellow lemon. Hello and welcome to my studio. I'm Naomi from Pigeon Art, and today we're going to be talking about art block. I have been suffering from art block for quite a few months now. I've just been really wanting to paint or draw and having no inspiration. I think partly this has to do with in August I was sort of heading towards burnout. Work did not get any easier after that. So I'm sure that's not been helping my art block, but I'm still trying to draw and paint because that's, well, mostly draw. You've seen a few paintings I've done lately through my channel. I'm still trying to do that because it's just so important for my mental health. And I know that and I feel it when I don't do it. So I have been trying to draw things around my house, looking at photos in my camera roll and drawing those. So that's one. These are all camera roll photos, and I've just been playing around with color. Okay, so here's when I started drawing things that are around my house. It's this little figurine. I have a rabbit. My slippers. This is a drawing on a Christmas mug we have. Ignore that one, but that's a little wooden decoration that I own. This is our friend's dog. This one actually was a bit different. I asked Luke to just come up with one word, whatever the word was, doesn't matter. I had to find a way to draw that. And he came up with the word potato. I found, when I was Googling potato images, I found this one. And these are the flowers that potato plants make. So it didn't end up being as creative as it might have been. I'm still finding things to draw, but I just don't feel like they're very creative. A glass figurine we have in our house, a little tiny, about this big, of a elephant. So I drew him from all the different angles. And this is just a clay flower that I own. In here I had some fun with my alcohol markers, and this is a candle that I own. These are all going to be, or have already, or all going to be coming out sort of in the next few weeks on my social media. So if you want to see more and a little bit more detail around each object, you can check them out there. Wasn't feeling that was doing enough to help me, but luckily my mum bought me a workshop, expressive drawing workshop, for my birthday, which was last weekend. Jodie was amazing. She was so just everything I've been taught as a kid and growing up around art, just throw it out the window and do the complete opposite, you know? It was just amazing. I don't want to give too many of her techniques away for free on my channel because, you know, this is how she supports herself, and she has developed a lot of these techniques herself. I have since felt much more relaxed. I'm so inspired to do stuff now, and I have been drawing these guys. So, which you can see the difference between the line drawings I was doing with, you know, like this one, to this. And then yesterday I also drew these two guys. It's the same subject, you can see there, just one I was doing really kind of precisely, and the other one I thought I'll just, you know. And I've been experimenting. She suggested experimenting with the way you hold your pen or whatever tool you're using, like experiment with that. And then I also had my bowl from dinner just sitting near me that I hadn't taken to get washed up yet, and I thought I'd give that a draw too. Another thing that I've been doing that she suggested was to spend 30 days, draw every day, even if it's 5-10 minutes, but draw the same item from your house every single day. And that is to get you thinking about this item in more than just drawing it. Creative ways of looking at the item, of representing the item on paper. So she suggested using something that, you know, you have, that means something to you. I decided to go with this mug, and this was day 1 and 2. I went just the normal drawing, then a left-handed drawing. Okay, so with day 3 and 4, I looked at it from different angles. That's the bottom side half of it. Day 5 and 6, I had the because it has texture, this mug, I had it underneath the paper and then did a rubbing, I guess it's called, a rubbing of it. And then this one I decided to just focus on the design that's on the mug. And then this morning, just about before I came here, I was having a cup of tea and I thought I would draw it at the end. So that's the tea bag, that's the tea bag tag. Because I was using it, I had my tea cozy on it, so you can see that on the surrounding. And then a little tiny bit of tea at the bottom. So far it's doing really well. I'm going to keep working on that. I've actually, because I didn't want to separate the drawings, so I've got them all marked out, you know, in here. I had an idea for artwork for this video, but I can't find my tennis ball, and I'll have a think about what we can do instead. I'm really not sure how I managed to lose a tennis ball. Also, I've just remembered Luke's told me that if I'm going to have, I should turn on those lights or take them down because they don't look very good in the background when they're turned off. So let me turn them on. After the workshop last weekend, it was an amazing experience. I'll show some of the artworks here. But it was an amazing experience. I absolutely loved it, but I was so exhausted afterwards. And the rest of the week, I did catch up on some sleep. I did also feel very tired still the rest of the week. So yesterday I spent the day, it was a hot day that turned into a storm. So I spent the day resting. We had to run some errands in the morning, but after that, sat on the couch and read and slept. So I had another idea to knit up some fabric and use that like as a stamp and put a texture down on the page. I'd also like to use my palette knives that I never use. So I'm thinking I might actually just use these for now. My old acrylics, good way to finish them and not be worried about wasting good paint with experimentation. Okay, so I'm sorry about the long introduction there. I just want to go through everything that I've been doing to try and help the art block in case anyone else is sort of in the same boat. If you are, I'm very sorry to hear it, and I hope some things I do in here will help you as well. But anyway, straight into it. I started my sketchbook and I started by washi taping it down. I didn't really have much of an idea of what it would look like, but I thought start with putting down a bright color. I then put down this green that I wasn't happy with straight after I put it down, so you'll see me doing a lot to cover it up later. But I think it's fine. The little bits you can see sort of add to the texture of the piece, so yeah. And then because yellow and purple are opposite colours on the colour wheel, they can be really striking together, so that's why I ended up going with the purple and the lighter yellow and the lighter purple. I own these plastic palette knives and I don't ever use them, and I want to. So I'm glad I experimented with them a little bit in this video, and I will continue to use them as well. Anytime you sort of find yourself fiddling with a painting, you move on to the next one. I should have moved on to the next one before I started messing with that corner, but you know, what can I do? I then put it down and let it dry. Well, with my next one, I decided to use this canvas that was already primed with some burnt sienna sort of colour, and I went straight onto the canvas with the paint this time for a different feel. And actually that burnt sienna background, whatever the colour that background is actually going to poke through later, so I was kind of glad with how it looked. I experimented with splashing some water onto it to see if it would change the way the palette knife worked on there, and I actually really like how it waters it down a bit in places. Now for the third one, I again went for the paint straight onto the canvas. As you can see, that blue needs to be thrown out. It's separating, but oh well, like I said, experimenting. And I went with colors that are closer together on the color wheel this time, and actually it gave this really cool effect that I thought was a bit like nature, you know, so like a bush with flowers in there. So that's why I ended up with a flower painting for that one later. While everything was drying, I decided to take some time and knit some swatches, I guess you would call them, with different yarns and needle sizes. And I also found this crochet piece, which was a practice run when I was making my mug cozy a while ago. I started using the knitted fabric as a stamp, and I tried different styles and different colours. Just building it up and adding some brush strokes here and there. I think it really helped with the aesthetics of this one. I used white because it was getting quite dark, so to just contrast a little bit with the darkness. The next one that was kind of dry was the square canvas. I bought this new paintbrush, the flat one, and I wanted to try a technique I'd seen online for people using them to make roses, but I didn't end up liking it. I mean, sorry, it looked good, but I wasn't really what I wanted, so I actually wiped most of it off. It left a little bit of purple in places. It did muddy a bit the background colours, but you know, it's fine. I'm okay with it. Okay, so here I come on and cover up that corner completely with the lighter purple, and I'm much happier with it as I keep working with it, so that's good. And I think I learnt my lesson to stop before I get to the muddy part that I am not happy with, so yeah. And then I also used my paper towel as a texture as well. That paper towel, if you have it at home, that has a texture on it, is also another option. I ended up finding the tennis ball. I had put it away, but not where I thought I'd put it away. But I won't be using it straight away. I'll use it in a different painting. It got to this point where with this painting where I was really happy with the background. I did a lot of thinking and looking at photos on Pixabay for some free inspiration images. I did end up choosing a silhouette of a plant. That's sort of what I searched on Pixabay. I found this flower, so I decided that I would ink it in. And I'm really happy with how this one turned out, so that's great. Now, for the experiment I was wanting to do in the first place, I think now that I've used the tennis ball once and it's sort of coated with some paint, it should be fine. But if I ever use a newish, a clean tennis ball, I might wet it down first because it did soak up a lot of the paint. So that's just something for me to remember for future. But basically all I wanted to do was put down some paint and roll the ball over it. and it gave this really cool sort of dry texture. I mean, it gave a different texture than I had expected. And then I decided to try and put the paint straight onto the ball and give that a go as well, which gave a different look. Really cool. Definitely wear gloves is my recommendation. After I'd done that, I felt like it needed a pop of yellow because that was sort of what I was doing anyway. So I put these little streaks of yellow around. By that time, my other painting was sort of dryish, so I went over it again with another layer of purple to make it more opaque, and then I used my paper towel method again with a lighter purple to put more texture on there. With this one, I again wasn't sure what to do. My inspiration tends to be nature, whether it's animals or plants or whatever. So I decided to go with trees. You know when you're in a bushwalk or something and you look up and all you can see is the silhouettes of trees against the sky? That's sort of what I was going for. But I actually think this artwork's a little bit darker than that now to me. I'll explain at the end. It's sort of went into a different direction than I was thinking. And I've only seen it when I've gone back to it after a few days of not looking at it, if that makes sense. Here I'm using my left hand just because that is another thing you can do. It's a good way to sort of help you through art block using your left hand. You're not stressing about what you're putting down as much because you can't. You don't have as much control. But also it gives me these awesome wiggly lines just because how uncontrolled my left hand is. And that's perfect for tree branches. After that, I put it down. I wanted to use more of my inks that was out now, and so I decided to put the lines into the flowers on this painting. I don't know if it's a bit cartoony or what. I'm actually really happy with how that one came out, considering how many times I wiped off what I was doing. It just gives me, I guess, a bit of a cartoony feel, which is not something I've ever managed to do in the past. I'm back on the trees one. After it dried, I decided I needed more yellow. Normally this washi tape doesn't give me any issues, but maybe it's the paper. It ripped off the paper, but I, again, can't be worried about it. It's just how the painting turned out. It's part of the charm. So back onto this one. Somehow I was not filming, and I wasn't filming when I added the white. And then it happened again, but this time I don't know what happened because it stopped itself from filming. It was filming, like as you can see, and this is the exact moment when it stopped. Both my hands are being used not to turn off the camera. Anyway, so there they all are. I hope you enjoyed this little foray, I suppose, into some creativeness. I certainly felt like it helped me a little bit. I think I'm well on the way to surpassing the art blocks. So. Now this painting makes me think of a bushfire. When trees have been in a bushfire, they go black. Smoke will change the colour of light and everything, so that purple sky sort of makes me think of a smoke. And then the yellow, little textures of yellows makes me think of the fire on the trees. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, feel free to give it a like. It really helps me out. I upload some Sundays with art, DIY and sewing videos, and I hope to see you then. Bye!